What is up, you guys? You're listening to the first ever I2C podcast coming live to you from the Spark Studio. I'm your host, Madison Travis, and I'm also the social media coordinator here at the I2C. On this podcast, we're going to be diving into all things business, technology, innovation, and startup life related. We're going to be talking to some companies about what their innovation looks like here in the Rocket City. We'll be interviewing some entrepreneurs about their journey and what startup life consists of. And we got to give the interns some love. So we're going to be asking them about what internships look like at a tech startup. I hope you're excited to hear about all the innovation happening here at the I2C. Let's get it done. Today we have Mary Scott Hunter in the studio. She is with Intuitive Research and Technology. Mary Scott, how are you?
I am great, Madison. It's great to be here in the Spark Studio here at the I2C.
I'm super excited to have you here. We're just going to be talking to her about Intuitive, really what their innovation is kind of looking like here in the Rocket City and what their part is with the I2C. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about the company?
Well, Intuitive likes to say that we hire Swiss Army knives.
Okay.
And I've always loved that about our company. You know, companies have to be able to flex and, change is the name of the game. Yep. Even in engineering services in
100%.
Huntsville, Alabama, change is the name of the game. So, and really, when you think about how to deal with change, it has to be at the individual level. And
100%.
So we hire people who are, have primary skills, strong primary skills, but secondary skills, the ability to be able to flex and change and adjust at our company is very important for us. And so I am an attorney.
Okay.
I went to University of Alabama Law School, graduated in '98, went off to the Air Force and became a JAG.
Okay.
So did reserve JAG for 5 and active duty for 5, and then I was in the reserves and guard for another 5. So it was a great time. Went all over the world, met my husband,
Love that. Yeah. It's really cool. One thing, because being an intern here, I get to talk with all of the people, who are entrepreneurs in these companies and, have their own stories to tell. It has been so interesting getting to hear the backgrounds of everyone. That's like my favorite part, is getting to hear everyone's backgrounds and like, oh, you went from that to an entrepreneur? Or like, oh, you went from that to
How'd you get from there to there?
Right. I love hearing about it. So, yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing just you're a woman of many skills.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So what is Intuitive all about? Like, what are they focused on here in Huntsville?
Well, way back when I was hired 8 years ago, the focus was very much on our government work.
Okay. Inevitable here in Huntsville.
Well, it was our engineering services, our project management. When I was hired, I really did a lot of the general counsel type work. And for 5 or 6 years, that was kind of where I was. And then as I watched where the company was going and my opportunities at the company, I actually went back and got my MBA.
Okay.
So kind of rolling into what the company does, what Mary Scott does first is I have enjoyed being able to do new challenges. As the company has grown, I have also tried to grow, especially on the business side since I got my MBA. So today we're kind of really getting more and more diversified. When we kind of get into why we're here at the I2C, we can talk more about that. But our bread and butter is project management, acquisition support, strategic planning, training support. That's on the program side.
Okay, I was going to say all
those things
stuff
that sound familiar to everyone.
I was about to say everything that everyone loves here in Huntsville. It's so funny because
when you go, what does that really mean?
Exactly. No, that's exactly what happens. It's so funny because my company is focused on defense contract marketing, which is something I would have never thought I would be slightly interested in. Mm-hmm. But it's funny because that's what Huntsville is. Like, you get in there and you have a very wide market and plenty of people to talk to about it.
Well, and it's a good niche because you are marketing to a specific group of people who understand what professional engineering services are and software and circuit board design.
It's really cool to see the connection between like defense and business nowadays, especially here in Huntsville, kind of like what you were talking about. It's a really cool, I don't know, I really love learning about it and seeing those intertwine. I think here at the I2C is like a perfect opportunity for me to see that. But yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So what is Intuitive's connection with the I2C, speaking of?
Well, we really wanted to find a place where we could explore some new avenues.
Okay.
And, Intuitive was founded in 98. We have a long history in town. People know us. They know our founders, Ray Almodovar and Hal Brewer. They, we've had Virginia Shelton, our new president, in place for quite some time. So, they kind of know. They know us. They know who we are. Ray and Hal had long civilian careers, so they have lots of contacts out there, connections and contacts. Intuitive Intuitive has won awards. I mean, that's something we're known for too. About our, I was looking at our website today, getting ready for this podcast, and I put something down here on my little notes that are not just words for us. We're a company. Intuitive is committed to respecting the specialized knowledge of our peers, working closely with them in spirit of teamwork to be of service to our customers. We celebrate accomplishments which fortify as well as develop our culture. This culture reflects our belief that we owe a debt of loyalty to each other and to the customers we serve. And I thought, somebody's going to go on our website and think those are just words, but really, they're not just words. We win, and they're not, and that because year after year after year, from almost our inception, Intuitive wins these local and national Best Place to Work awards. Yeah. And those are anonymous surveys given to your employees. And the employees, if they don't like it, there's an opportunity for them to say it.
For sure.
And one or two bad returns, and you can lose. And so year after year, Intuitive wins those, and that's leading to your question: what are we doing here? Yeah. One of the things that Intuitive has done for as long as I've been there is we have a budget for internal research and development.
Awesome. Okay.
It is awesome, and there's lots of small companies that grow up and are successful in Huntsville. Yeah. But I really have to hand it to our founders. They knew that that engineers in some ways are artists.
Yes, for sure.
And artists and engineers, many of them have this drive to create.
Yes. And it's weird because it's completely different avenues, but they're so similar in how they create and things. Me and my friend actually had a conversation just about this, which is so weird, the other day, about how engineers, it is such a specific creativity that's there, even though it's not necessarily labeled as creative. It's a very...
It should be labeled as creative.
I 100% agree.
Because it is.
Yes.
It's creative in the way you create music. Yeah. And the way you see it kind of punch out in funny ways here in Huntsville, like Irons One, Mr. Irons, who set up a distillery, and all the beer brewers, and and you see these engineers who are also in bands that play across the city.
Yes, and I love the kind of going back to what the I2C is focused on, the entrepreneur mindset that's here in Huntsville is so refreshing sometimes because people are just eager to try new things, eager to use their knowledge and their creativity to further advance Huntsville as a community. And I think that fits perfect with what Intuitive is all about and what they're doing here at the I2C.
It's really a big part of our culture to really foster the individual, and we do. It's not uncommon for individuals to, and speaking of the IRD budget, getting back to that, one of the reasons that Intuitive had it is because we know that our employees want to create.
Right.
So they have good ideas. So we've always had an ideas program for as long as I've been there, and
love that.
That's kind of where our IRD was and is. And but I guess about 2 years ago, we started working on a project, and it's much longer than we have time for in this podcast, but we had a medical partner, and we started working on some things to see what we could do with cancer research drugs.
Okay. Yeah.
Odd kind of mix there, but we just we took a little bit of our IRD, and IRD stands for internal research and development. Okay. It's meaning it's not government work, it's not done for a customer, it's just something we do in-house to see if we can.
That's awesome.
And it was a hard problem to solve, but basically cancer research requires supercomputing. And for cancer drugs, you take every combination of the drug and what it's going to attach to, and you basically crunch every combination possible in the that's possible. Okay. So it's almost an unlimited number.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do is see if we could look at it in virtual reality. Okay. If we could reduce the possibilities, I know that's not going to work. I know that's not going to work.
Right.
Put a human in the loop, because humans are brilliant at basically not getting down to the nitty gritty necessarily, but being able to say, well, I think it's mostly this.
Yes. Oh, 100. Yeah.
Estimation.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It's estimation. So we were kind of successful with that. We were able to put a human in the loop, and so we started saying, well, okay, one of the things that Intuitive does well is big data. We have always been, at the front and at the forefront of big data, data analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and these are really important for the government. The government has a lot of products that they're using. So we've tried to be very much at the forefront of that. So, we kind of stepped back into our IRD world, very separate from everything else we did. And, we had this little project behind us on cancer drugs, and we thought, well, what else could we dump into our systems and see what pops out? So we thought of taking the data from MRIs, CT, and PET scans and seeing what happens in virtual reality. So we started producing images. So anyway, our project here what brought us to the ITC, and that was your question a long time ago.
I love hearing about all this. So this
it's kind of a long story of creativity and just kind of
there's a lot to it.
There is, but so last year, my desire to be a Swiss Army knife and kind of grow into a new business position. I have another lawyer that works for the company now, and she's kind of taken on some of those compliance and other duties. I asked to be challenged, and so I got the opportunity to stand up a commercial business unit effort. So, and that's around our product, which we call Claire's Viewer.
Well, you guys do have the coolest office here. No,
thank you. We love it. We love it. So Intuitive is here. The project was maybe one of the impetus to us go looking around for. To find the I2C. Right. But Intuitive is the partner of the I2C. Yes. I mean, that's really important to remember. It's our big companies on the wall, and we wanted to be here too because it's not only a great space, and if you're out there listening, you should come and visit because it's a super cool space, very Google. But it's also, when you partner with the I2C, you get the Rolodex. You get to meet Madison, you get to meet.
My favorite part about being here has been the networking.
Yes.
Whenever I interviewed, he doesn't have an office here anymore, but I was interviewing him earlier this year, and I was just talking to him. I was like, what's your favorite part about being here? And he was like, the beehive effect. Like, people have services that you didn't even know you needed. You get to learn from other people. You get to talk to people. And that is by far, especially me being a senior in college and, just learning any chance I can get, the networking possibilities have been endless. And it's so awesome. It's my favorite part.
Well, and if you think about, our company is the partner, and we're going to be doing more than just Claris. But Claris is a medical product, and we don't have. I mean, we're an aerospace company, so so we, through the I2C, you get to UAH. Through UAH, you get to UA Systems. UA Systems includes UAB. So
there's so many levels and so many layers.
Yes, and so we could. We could use that to reach into some places because, let's face it, other markets are hard to penetrate.
100%.
So we liked the beehive effect. We liked the Rolodex that came with it, and quite frankly, we think the space is pretty cool. So
I do too. I'm a little biased though. I was going to say I can talk about it all day long just because I'm a little biased.
And we have some big plans with it too. I mean, one of the, I don't know if you're going to get to this, but just some of our company goals with the space.
I was about to say, what are you looking to achieve, and what's something exciting that's coming that you can share with us?
Super secret squirrel stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things we're going to do virtual reality in our space, and we have of course, if you're driving on I-565, you see the Intuitive Planetarium at the Rocket Center, and we've thought about some synergies with the planetarium.
Okay.
Being able, I tell you what, I've stood in the middle of the universe on our VR. Yeah. I've picked up the blue marble Earth and looked at it in my hand, and it's fun.
It is.
So we've thought about doing some things. It's a little tricky now with COVID because of limitations and that, but sooner or later we'll be out of that.
It's a time to adapt and learn new ways to do things. And I keep trying to tell myself that because there are times where I'm like, oh, man, COVID, and then I'm like, wait, no, I get to learn new ways to do stuff. So
we certainly needed a space to do our special projects and endeavors like Claris. We certainly wanted a space that was visible in the community, and And to be honest, we just like what the I2C stands for.
Yeah.
We really, there are business hubs or business incubators that stand up, but this one really is different.
It is. And since I've had my own company, I've been looking for office space and kind of just looking around Huntsville. I was like, what is there here? And I always just kind of come back here and I'm like, this is different. Something about this is different.
Just being able to walk in here and it gives you a sense of credibility. It gives you a sense that there's activity going on and brain power.
Yes,
and
you feel motivated whenever you come in. You see people working. You see people trying to achieve something more. And I love feeling that every time I come into work.
Well, the first time I came here and I walked the halls of the I2C, I met this guy and I said, what are you working on? He was out there kind of sitting in, this was pre-COVID, so he was sitting kind of in the cafeteria, each floor has lots of common areas. He was sitting in one of the common areas and he said, well, I'm an actuary and I'm, I don't explain some crazy thing. Right, yeah. I don't think actuaries are probably the smartest people on the planet. And he was just, they were taking an economics approach to, I think it was an algorithmic approach to investing. And
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah,
yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like the smartest person I think I've ever met. Yes. And so
listen, it's been so funny because like being an intern too, like having these conversations, I'm like, oh wait, this stuff is like actually happening. You know what I'm saying? It's not just stuff I read about or hear about happening in these big cities and stuff. Like it's here and it's it's very much happening. And the community here is just awesome, and I'm so excited that Intuitive is getting to be a part of that.
We are too.
Seriously, like I was, walking back from the office up there, and someone stopped me and was like, "Just want to say, like, you're doing a great job," and that kind of stuff is really motivating, and I can't help but feel a little small here, being an intern, but the opportunity here is unmatched.
Oh, Madison, you're starting your own company. You're in college, for heaven's sakes. You're pretty accomplished. But I will say that one of our biggest goals is that in this employment environment, we want to be visible to smart people. I used to say smart engineers, but our engineering students. Yeah. But to be honest, we're hiring so much beyond engineers now, artists and digital artists, and heck, we might hire an actuary one day. But we have all sorts of people with skills, and we've hired chemists, and so we want to be visible.
There's such a range.
There is such a range, and here at UAH, if you're within the sound of my voice and you're thinking about where to go, do take a look at us. We'll meet you at the I2C, or we'll bring you down the street to Intuitive. But we really do want to be visible to all that great talent that just is right around here.
It is. UAH was not on my radar whenever I was choosing schools, and I couldn't be happier I came here. And I think that the I2C is the perfect addition to the campus, to be honest. So, the conversation made me excited about, what's to come. And I can't help but get excited about all the innovation and technology that is here. So, thanks for talking with me today.
Absolutely.
I had a great time, and I'm looking forward to what Intuitive is going to do in the future. So thank you, Mary Scott, for being here today.
You're welcome. Keep up the great work.
That is it for today's episode, you guys. As always, thanks for listening. Make sure you're following us on all of our socials, UHI2C on Instagram and UH Invention to Innovation Center on Facebook. Be on the lookout for who I'm going to interview next. Onward and upward.